If you've never heard of Goblin Slayer, don't worry. That just means you're part of the unwashed masses. You're not alone. This tragically obscure gem has been relegated to the fringes of media discussion, ignored by critics too preoccupied with accessible anime like Tomorrow's Naja or Fushigi Yugi. But unlike those surface-level spectacles, Goblin Slayer dares to ask the big questions. And by big questions, I mean the kind of metaphysical quandaries that would make Nietzsche weep into his mustache. This isn't just a show about slaying goblins. No, my poor naive viewer. Goblin Slayer is a deep dive into the fabric of reality itself. It's a work that dares to grapple with implications of quantum mechanics, the futility of free will, and the latent existential thread lurking within the act of eating breakfast. Let's start with the obvious. Goblins. These aren't just enemies or antagonists. They're Schrodinger's goblins. They exist in a quantum state of being both absurdly weak and devastatingly dangerous, collapsing into one form or another, depending on the perception of the adventurers. Take a moment to consider the Goblin Slayer himself. His entire existence is dedicated to eradicating these creatures, yet he never questions their origin or purpose. Why? Because he understands, on a fundamental level, that goblins are not mere monsters, but manifestations of quantum uncertainty. They're a metaphor for the probabilistic chaos of the universe, constantly threatening to collapse into a state of entropy. Every time he swings his sword, he's not just slaying goblins, he's asserting order over the chaos of the universe. And don't even get me started on the dice motif. The gods in this world literally roll dice to determine outcomes, a clear nod to quantum randomness. Einstein once said, "God does not play dice with the universe." But Goblin Slayer flips this on its head, showing a world where divine dice rolls dictate reality. This isn't just a plot device. It's a profound commentary on the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics. Now, let's talk about free will, or rather, the lack thereof. Goblin Slayer presents a world so deterministic that it makes Calvinism look like a choose-your-own-adventure book. Every character's actions are dictated by their class, their role, and the whims of the dice-rolling gods. Take the Priestess, for example. She begins the series as a wide-eyed novice, eager to make her own decisions. But as the show progresses, she realizes that her choices are illusions. Her destiny is preordained. Her actions mere expressions of a cosmic script written by unseen forces. The Goblin Slayer himself is the ultimate example of the deterministic worldview. He is not a man, but a machine, programmed by trauma to carry out his singular mission. His refusal to engage with anything outside of goblin slaying isn't just a character quirk, it's a rejection of free will. He understands that any attempt to deviate from his role would be futile, as he is merely a cog in the grand machinery of existence. But where Goblin Slayer truly shines is in its exploration of the existential terror of breakfast foods. You might think I'm joking, but consider this. The Goblin Slayer's most human moments occur when he sits down to eat. Whether it's a bowl of porridge or a slice of bread, these meals are laden with symbolism. Breakfast is the most mundane of rituals, a daily act that reminds us of our physicality and mortality. In these scenes, the Goblin Slayer is stripped of his armor, his purpose, and his identity. He is no longer a hero or a warrior, but a man confronting the absurdity of existence. Why eat when the universe is indifferent? Why persist when death is inevitable? These moments are a nod to Albert Camus' concept of the absurd. Just as Sisyphus must find meaning in rolling his boulder up the hill, the Goblin Slayer must find meaning in his porridge. It's a quiet rebellion against the void, a declaration that even in a deterministic universe, one can still enjoy a good meal. Of course, we can't ignore the economic undertones of Goblin Slayer. The Adventurers Guild operates like a capitalist nightmare, commodifying danger and turning life-or-death quests into transactions. Goblins, in this context, are the proletariat, exploited, dehumanized, and slaughtered en masse to maintain the status quo. But here's the kicker. The Goblin Slayer isn't a hero of the proletariat. He's a tragic figure, caught in the machine. A worker alienated from his labor. His obsession with goblins blinds him to the larger systemic issues, making him both a victim and a perpetrator of the cycle. This show doesn't offer solutions because, like all great art, it understands that solutions are irrelevant. What matters is the struggle, the constant push against the tide of absurdity, chaos, and oppression. So why isn't Goblin Slayer a household name? Because society isn't ready for it. This is not a show for the faint of heart or the shallow of mind. This is a work that demands introspection, intellectual rigor, and a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths of existence. The masses want escapism. They want heroes, villains, and happy endings. Goblin Slayer offers none of these. Instead, it holds up a mirror to our world, forcing us to grapple with the quantum uncertainty of our reality, the illusion of free will, and the existential terror of breakfast. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're one of the few who can truly appreciate Goblin Slayer for what it is. A profound, unrelenting masterpiece that will never get the recognition it deserves. But hey, if you'd rather watch something accessible, go ahead. Watch your nausea. Watch your Princess Tutu. Just don't come crying to me when you realize that you've wasted your life ignoring the goblins working in the shadows of your mind.